Too often times we hear people talk about what we don't have or what they wish we had. So my approach to this is just to help share with people what all is available. When people start to become more engaged, then it just makes everything richer. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to our community. So happy to be with you today. My co-host, Ryan Hinnen from the YMCA. I'm Andy Thornton, CEO with the Greater Peoria Family YMCA, and we're coming to you today from the I've Decided Studios in Peoria, Illinois.
Yes.
Today's show is sponsored by I've Decided and the Greater Peoria Family YMCA.
That's right.
I wonder how that happened. I've Decided is an organization that's dedicated to helping you achieve your goals and your dreams. And the Greater Peoria Family YMCA is a charitable nonprofit organization whose mission is to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build a healthy spirit, mind, and body. And Ryan, you know what we like to say at the Y? When you belong to the Y,
you belong to something greater.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us today. We've got a great show planned for you.
Hope it's great.
I think it's going to be.
All right.
It's an interesting subject matter.
It is.
And we're just going to jump right in. We're going to talk about the word no.
No.
Right? Something
Yes.
we've heard our entire life. The
Yeah.
word no.
It's one of the first words we learned.
Yeah.
When we're, just learning to speak. My kids, before daddy or mommy, it was no, right?
Yep.
That's what they were hearing from us. So
My youngest son, third youngest child, because I have four, my youngest is my daughter, but my youngest son's name is No.
oh gosh.
And so there was a lot of no in his life because it was no, Noah, no, Noah, no, no. And, we were talking about it before the show. And really, when you think about it, the word no brings up a lot of negative emotions, I think, for people.
Yeah.
It's thought of as a negative term. And we're
Don't
going to
do
talk
that,
about
yeah.
it a little bit differently today from a positive perspective. But I think after talking about that over lunch, that maybe that's where some of that comes from, because it is one of the first words that we hear when we're growing up. And it's always, no, stop doing that.
Right. It's always a limiting
you
thing.
can't do this. You got to quit. You got to get away from that type of thing. Don't stick your fingers in the light sockets. All that type of stuff. And it's natural to do that as a parent with your child, but I can't help but think that that's where some of those negative emotions that we have today as adults, when we think about no, it's negative.
Yeah, and no can be saying no can be a really positive thing.
It can be. It can be, absolutely.
And so why do you think it's so hard for people to say no?
Well, I think the first thing that I think of is because I think that we want to please people. We want to help people. We want people to like us, right? We want people to accept us. We want people to feel good about our ability to help them. And so it's hard for us to say no when somebody comes to us and says, hey, I need your help. Yeah. Or what do you think about doing this? Whatever it might be. It's hard to say no because you don't want to disappoint people.
Yeah.
I think
definitely don't want to let anybody down.
I think that's a pretty common theme that most people could probably relate to, right?
Right.
Yeah. We want to meet their expectations, all those things. So I think people easily get that, right? But we have to draw the line somewhere, right? Because we all have a purpose in our life, right? And we should have a purpose in our life. Sure. Hopefully we all have a purpose in our life.
Working towards something.
Yeah, we all have goals. We all have dreams. We all have the things that we want to accomplish in our life. And a lot of times, if we don't learn how to say no strategically and effectively, we can get distracted and sidetracked.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're going to spend a lot of our time talking about today, is how do we work through that? How do we balance out our life by choosing when is the right time and the right way to say no?
Right.
So let's talk about it. What are some strategies that we can apply in our life to help us get better at that?
Well, one thing that we can do is we can remove emotion from that decision.
Yeah.
Right. And we really need to think about, are we doing this because, somebody else wants us to do it? What's the value to us? And again, that seems very selfish, but you have to listen to yourself. You have to listen to your body and your heart and your head. And is doing this thing going to cause stress, added stress? We all have stress. We all have anxiety. Right. But is adding something more to your plate right now, is that going to make you feel tired?
Right.
And if it is, then maybe it would be best to say no.
Right. A couple of articles that I was reading, one of them Kim wrote in her weekly winning resource, and then I did a little bit of research online and found a couple of articles that were very interesting, and kind of the same talking points were used through that. Is the body is a powerful tool, and it gives you signs of when you need to maybe back off, right? You could feel when you're stressed, you can feel when you're upset, you can, the anxiety, all those things, most people know when those things are building up within them. And one of the articles I read talked about that is, when you're asked to do something or be a part of a project or take on an additional responsibility, if you start to feel that as you think through that opportunity, it's probably a good sign that you probably shouldn't do it.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
But I know in my own experiences, in my own life, I usually just push that stuff aside, stuff it away, and say, I'll figure it out.
Right.
Right? And then I walk away, and I'm thinking, why in the world did I do that? Right? Why did I do that? How am I going to get this done?
Right.
And that's certainly not an effective way to help people.
No.
Right?
No. And and there are ways that you can do this where you're not, because no can be really hard for people to say, especially given the idea that we don't want to let somebody else down.
Right.
And to say no, you're not necessarily saying that, oh, I hate you, or you can do it in a way that's not insulting to them. And I think part of that is how you frame it up. We talked about how you want to make sure that you explain why you're doing that, but you can also soften the blow of a no to someone, right? You could say, I just don't think that's right for me right now, or I've got other plans. I'm going to choose to do this because and maybe that will help you deliver a no in a different way. But you also have to be careful with that you don't leave the door open for, you don't want to lead people on either.
Right.
No, however you frame it, probably needs to be a no.
Yeah, if you're saying yes to something because you want to make somebody else feel good, it's probably not the best reason to do it. It's got to work for both you and the other party.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be, because I think it's written somewhere in Kim's article for sure. I know she brought this up, is that a half-hearted yes is probably less productive than a no.
Yeah, one of the most selfish things that you could do, because if you're not all in on whatever the thing is, then you're shortchanging yourself and who you've made a commitment to.
Yeah.
So
and that other party, and that's not fair. And you're also taking away an opportunity for maybe someone else who's better suited for that opportunity. And although there may be disappointment at that interaction for that other party, whatever it is they're asking you to do, in the long run, they're probably going to be better off. Oh, because they're going to find somebody.
Yeah, almost certainly,
who's more suited to do that in an effective way.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of thought that has to go into it, and we try not to make decisions like this on gut reaction, especially when you're thinking about the disappointment that comes with that, or how you balance that out in your life, and does it fit your goals for yourself? Is it going to help you become a better person? Is it going to help you achieve the success that you desire for your life, whether it's personal or professional? It's really important. Another strategy that I found in some of my research was One article I was reading, and I apologize, I can't tell you who wrote it, but it wasn't Kim. I know that. It was a different article. And it was, do I really want or need to do this? Ask yourself that question when the opportunity comes. Do I need to do this? And do I want to do this?
Yeah.
That should be a fairly simple question to answer if you're honest with yourself.
I wish people would go through that process before they post on social media.
Yeah, that's true. That's great. Yeah, so if you're one of those people, no, I'm just kidding.
Think about it. What's the end goal here?
Yeah, always reflect before you hit send, right? That's always important. Same way with email too, right? And another thing that I know was brought up in Kim's article is whatever it is that you're about to take on or that you're offered to do, is it an opportunity or is it just going to be a distraction? And can you determine that as you evaluate it? So, these types of things take some reflection, right? You're going to have to take some time to kind of figure that out. You're not going to necessarily be able to do that in a 3-minute phone conversation or whatever it is where the opportunity is being presented.
Yeah, unless you're operating on that higher plane where you really, really know yourself, right?
Right.
Like you're probably going to have to take a little bit of time and consider your options, and you know what that adds to. If you take a little bit of take a step back when someone asks you to do something and you take some time to really think about it and you come to them ultimately with either a yes or a no, if you've really done the work and the homework, then I think that goes a long way to softening a blow of a no as well.
I think a lot of people respect that you've given it, well thought out response, and you've taken the time to kind of absorb the opportunity and to determine whether it is an opportunity or a distraction.
Right.
And then you've got an opportunity to really think through how do you explain that. And I think that's a critical piece of it, right? That takes away a lot of that negative emotion, I think, is when you can explain and defend, as to why I don't think this is a good fit for me right now. And people will respect that.
Yeah. When I do struggle with saying no sometimes. I like to think that I do well at the big things, but some of the little things can be a distraction too. But one thing that I try to do when one of my staff comes to me and I know that I'm going to have to hit them with a no is I always try to, give me a few minutes or a day or so to think about this and I'll get back to you, but give them another avenue to go down. Don't just say no and, oh, you're out of luck, right? You want to
redirection.
Yeah, redirect that. Or you may have, if you're not the right person for something, or if you don't have the answer, you may know someone who does, and you can help that person along the way. So there are a number of different ways that you can turn a negative feeling situation into a very positive.
Yeah. So if you can ask yourself the questions: do I need this? Do I want this? And is it an opportunity or a distraction? Then you're going to be able to identify whether or not that opportunity is going to help you achieve the success that you have set out for yourself. And if the answer is yes, then by all means, you probably should be taking advantage of that opportunity, right? And that requires you to have a vision for your life, right? Which is important. And we talked about this last month, right? We talked about the word diligence. And we talked about the importance of how important it is to have purpose for your life, right? How to set goals, how to have a plan of action, how to follow through, how to track your progress, and then to, look for affirmations. That whole process that we went through last month. And if you want to learn more about that, you can look at last month's show where we really dug into that.
And part of that was avoiding distractions.
Yeah, but it's related to this, I think. And if you have that vision and that purpose, then it's going to be easier for all of us to know when to say no.
Yes.
Or when to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Another nugget that was lifted out of Kim's article is it's a pretty good rule of thumb that Always say yes to the opportunities, right? And no to the distractions.
No to the distractions.
Now, it's not a perfect science, and not here to say that that's always the case. There's outliers in every situation, but if it aligns with your own personal goals and your dreams and your outline for success, then it's probably something that you should take advantage of and pursue.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And then another thing is to understand that by saying no may provide a better outcome.
I think if you've really thought about it and you're coming and you're being genuine when you give that no to someone, that it's definitely going to have a better outcome.
Right.
It's certainly going to have a better outcome for you,
Yep.
and it probably will for them too. Again,
Yep.
we're not, because you're not shortchanging them. You're
Right.
not putting in half the work or even less than half the work
Right.
towards whatever they
Right.
need you to do.
Right. And when we talk about a better outcome, we talk about a better outcome not just for us personally,
Right.
because we've avoided a distraction, but it's a better outcome for the other party, whatever that is, because now they're able to pursue maybe a relationship in a different way with a different individual
Right.
who can provide a better service.
Yep.
Which is really pretty important. And I can relate to your struggles with saying no. And I think that anybody who works in the service industry, right, which we do at the YMCA, we're a service organization. We have members that are a part of our organization that we try to serve their needs. We try to serve the needs of the community in different ways. It's hard to say no when you have that mindset, because you're in the mindset of always wanting to help.
Yeah.
And you always want to be kind of at the table to try to help make our community stronger, whether it's one person at a time or through different initiatives that are developed. So, and you have to be strategic on how you do that, or else you're going to be so distracted and overwhelmed that you're not going to find any success. So I can relate to that a lot. That's a really tough balance, especially for those of us that are in the service industry. And kind of the final point that I guess is getting kind of here to the end of the time is, it's not, saying no is not a selfish action when you've gone through the process that we've just kind of outlined and really given it thoughtful attention.
Right.
It's not, you're not being selfish because you've said no.
Right. Don't be afraid to say no if you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yep. And we've talked about it. I think we've repeated this a couple times, but it's important. It's better than to say yes and not give it your all.
Yep.
Right. That's extremely important for everybody involved. And then that, just to add on to that again, and I know we're repeating ourselves here, but when you communicate the reason, people are going to understand, and 99 times out of 100 or more are going to respect that and probably learn from that experience in some way.
And think about how you'd want to hear a no from someone else. Do you just want to, sorry, get out of here? No, you want to hear an explanation of why someone can't help you out, or,
Right.
Especially if they feel like they're in great need. You want to be able to say no with grace and also provide a little help to them to, move on and ultimately get what they're after.
Well, and I think it also shows that you care, right? You care enough to think about the impacts of your decision on not only yourself but the other individual. And through that conversation, because that's really what it becomes, is a conversation, you strengthen a relationship, which is important because the most important part of our life is the relationship that we have with others. Right. So you build a better relationship, and through that interaction, you may be able to provide some support in another way by maybe pointing somebody in the right direction to somebody who can help them because of the other relationships that you have in your life. So when you take the time to be thoughtful and kind of work through the process that we've outlined here, I think even though you said no, you're probably going to be able to provide some form of help to that individual to help satisfy whatever need that they have. And I think that that's an interesting way to look at it as well. And then, you're not necessarily closing the door either in that respect. It's just no isn't forever, right? No just means I can't do it right now,
Right.
for these reasons.
Sure.
So don't ever tell me no. Ryan.
Okay, you guys heard that, right?
Yeah. Don't ever tell me no. Without a reason why.
Without
Right.
really reflecting on it, I promise.
Well, hopefully this has been helpful for you, Ryan. It's always great just to sit here and kind of chat with you and talk through.
Yep.
You
Enjoy
know,
being here.
There's different subject matters from month to month, and for all of you out there, hopefully it's been helpful to you, and you can all relate a little bit to the conversation that we've had, and just understand that saying no doesn't always have to be a negative.
Right.
Even though we've set the foundation when we're little, it's always negative when we hear no, because we're getting in trouble all the time, right? Or we're in danger and our parents are trying to protect us. But I think that does set the foundation for why we feel the way we feel now
Absolutely.
about saying that word. You know, it's one of the shortest words in the English dictionary, and it's one of the hardest words to say.
Something that people could say yes to is a membership at the YMCA. We'd love to have you come out.
What a great segue.
You like that?
Well done, Ryan.
We have summer memberships right now, and we also have another thing that you can say yes to for your family that your kids will love it is say yes to summer camp. We've got spots open. Just head on over to peoriaymca.org and we'll get you signed up. So something to say yes to.
That's right. Yeah, if your kids don't know how to swim, they can learn how to swim through that program. We provide safety around water lessons to all of our day camp participants, right? And we have a beautiful campus, 57 acres of beautiful property, timbered and non-timbered property, and lots of outdoor activity for the kids.
Hiking trails, new disc golf going in. We're having a great time this summer at the Y. We hope you'll come out.
That's right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this month on Our Community. We look forward to seeing you next time.